Since ancient times, slavery has been practiced by one group of people over another group of people in order to subjugate, take advantage, and exploit them to build up their own society's wealth and prosperity. Though most people know that slavery ended as an institution in the West in 1833 in England and 1865 in the United States with the 13th Amendment, many are unaware that slavery still exists in their own cities in the form of human trafficking, which includes bonded labor, forced labor, sex slavery, among many other forms. According to Dr. Kevin Bales, who is professor of contemporary slavery at the University of Nottingham, in his 2010 book, The Slave Next Door, Human Trafficking and Slavery in America Today, it is estimated that 21 to 27 million people are enslaved around the world, which is more than all of human history combined. And a U.S. State Department study states that 14,500 to 17,500 people are trafficked into the U.S. every single year. So in order to combat the spread of human trafficking in the United States, the Trafficking Victims Protection Act of 2017 should be signed into law because it will provide training to law enforcement and school personnel on how to identify trafficking when they see it, improve support for survivors of trafficking, as well as data collection and forensic investigation, and provide judicial training and services for survivors. According to Human Trafficking, a Reference Handbook by Dr. Alexis Aronowitz, which is published in 2017, slavery is recorded as early as 4000 BC in Mesopotamia. In the 2017 book Modern Slavery, A Global Perspective by Siddharth Kara, she observes that over the millennia there have been multiple ways that people have entered into slavery, including one nation conquering another and taking all of those people captive, as well as in exchange for food, shelter, and protection to pay yourself out of a debt, and chattel slavery, in which free people are captured and sold into slavery. And the primary example of chattel slavery is the transatlantic slave trade of the 18th and 19th centuries, in which countless Africans were captured and sold into slavery, put on ships, and shipped to the United States and England to work on plantations. However, slavery as an institution would finally end in Britain in 1833, due in large part to the efforts of William Wilberforce with the passing of the Slavery Abolition Act, and in the United States in 1865 with the 13th Amendment. Though slavery was legally outlawed, it continues to spread today through human trafficking, and those are underground networks that are very hard to track traffickers in. And this is why Health Matrix, Journal of Law and Medicine, published a journal article in 2016 titled Human Trafficking, How a Joint Task Force Between Healthcare Providers and Law Enforcement Can Assist with Identifying Victims and Prosecuting Traffickers, which they record that the first law in the United States that was passed to comprehensively address human trafficking was passed in 2000, and that was the first Trafficking Victims Protection Act. But they acknowledge that this article acknowledges that this law does not address all forms of human trafficking, only the most severe forms. So because of that, the laws regarding human trafficking need to be updated in order to be the most effective to combat the current expansive state of human trafficking. Because of the hidden nature of trafficking, it makes traffickers very difficult to track. And the Trafficking Victim Protection Act of 2017, sponsored by Charles Grassley, must be signed into law in order to provide more resources and labor in order to prevent the spread of trafficking in the United States. Though the exact number of slaves in the United States is unknown, it is estimated that it is 50,000 and growing. Some of the solutions to the problem of human trafficking are presented in this bill, which include investing in the training of law enforcement and school personnel to identify human trafficking, as well as improving the judicial system in order to prosecute perpetrators in a more effective way. In addition to preventing the spread of trafficking, another aim of the bill is to support survivors by making the process centered on them and providing awareness and avenues of support for them to integrate back into civilian life and receive counseling and healing from the experiences that they've had. Finally, this bill will improve data collection and forensic investigation, which are both essential in trials and convictions of the perpetrators. Though slavery was formally ended in Britain and the United States in 1833 and 1865, respectively, it has persisted throughout the centuries in the form of human trafficking. The history of slavery reveals that it has existed since the beginning of civilization, and the same concept of exploitation for financial gain has been the driving force behind the subjugation of other human beings. However, if the Human Trafficking Victims Protection Act of 2017 was passed, more resources, support, and training will be provided in order to combat human trafficking and, as a result, rescue more people from the destruction of trafficking.